What is the most anti-scientific theory or idea you believe in? Jinxing. If I want something to happen, and its odds of happening are up to random chance, I do not talk about it beforehand. If I want it not to rain, I try not to even think to myself there probably won't be rain because if I do, it'll rain. I love jinxing as a concept. It totally illustrates, I think, 1, how unreliable people are at using personal experience to evaluate things. 2, that humans at their core are pattern-finding organisms. We are constantly looking for patterns and performing mini-experiments where we will even go if I think X will Y happen. Growing up as a kid I did this all the time. And it totally felt real. But now as an adult I know jinxing represents slot machine feedback. It doesn't work like 90% all the time. But when it does work, holy cow, does it feel good. The few days before a full moon makes my patience crazy. Getting a laboring patient ready for a C-section will prevent the C-section. A change in weather will make patients water break. My 15-year-old son was abducted by aliens and they left a hateful changeling in his place. Weird. The same thing happened to my daughters. The good news is that the aliens generally get tired of their shit and bring them back in about 3 years. The closer I am sleeping to the right side of the bed, the more vivid, intense, and terrifying my dreams are. The closest I am to the left side, I wake up remembering absolutely nothing. This is something I've proven to myself countless times over, but nobody believes me. I have that when I sleep on my side. Dreams are better to the left, worse to the right, and fewer remembered on my back. I also wake up fully if I turn from one side to the other. I don't know how much the gravity and external pressure affect blood flow, but that it's what would suspect. There could also be a portal to hell next to your bed. There's the theory that lizard people have infiltrated our society, lurking disguised as celebrities and politicians. Now, I don't know about that, but no one can tell me that Mitch McConnell isn't actually a turtle in disguise. Reincarnation. I just kinda believe in it. I'm not sure why. I don't go around acting on it. It's just that sometimes I have some thought assuming I've lived before and will again. I guess it's less a belief and more an assumption. It's a nice thought. So I don't see any reason to try and get rid of it. I don't necessarily believe in it, but I'm terrified of it happening. All those instances where I wanted to end my life. The thought of, what if you're born again but in a worse situation, made me too scared to try anything. But yesterday I had an epiphany. If reincarnation is what happens after death, then it doesn't matter if I die today or in 50 years. So I shouldn't be worried about it now. Sometimes I get the idea in my head that other people can read my mind, and I'm going to humiliate myself by thinking embarrassing thoughts. It's not a hardcore belief, but it pops up way too often. There's no proof at all that any sort of psychic exists, let alone that they'll be standing in the lobby of my office building. I get this. I also feel like I'm being watched 24/7. And I realized I just act when I'm in public. As in, I'm constantly aware of what my body is doing, how my facial expressions are, and I consciously alter them every moment I'm outside. It's exhausting. There are spirits of others that do communicate with some people. I have no way to explain how my wife knew to make me call my brother shortly after his wife's death. My wife said his wife was next to her all day bugging her too. We lived 2,000 miles away. My cousin was not religious and had made it known over the years to his wife, 3 kids and parents, that he didn't want a funeral. He had an affair, ended up leaving his wife of 20 years and marrying the other woman, who was Catholic. Shortly into their marriage he realized he'd thrown his whole life away with his first wife and children, announced as much on FB as well as his plans to commit suicide, which he did soon after posting. His new wife insisted on a funeral and we all attended because she said he was a changed man and had been going to church with her. The priest only spoke for about 5 minutes when the fire department arrived and evacuated the entire city block due to a natural gas leak out in the street. And that was it. No funeral. The theory is that after the latest Earth crust displacement, Atlanteans moved to Antarctica, which had a warmer climate then. When it gradually froze, so did the Atlanteans with it. The idea is that the remnants of their society are locked under ice. Guess we'll soon find out as the ice melts now. That our universe is actually a giant ball. And we are on the inside. Outside of the ball are other balls of universes. And they all combine like atoms to make a giant creature. That creature is part of a universe that is a ball. And all of those balls combine to become a creature, etc. Linear time is an illusion created by our perception and perspective. And everything is happening. Has happened. And will happen. And there's no difference between the three. Our funny little lives and brains only make it seem like it's linear. I remember reading something like that in a Kurt Vonnegut book. There were aliens in it that looked at time as a whole, and they thought humans were odd because we saw time so strictly, as if we had a pipe fixed to our face that we could only see what was in front of us and we were stuck facing forward, going forward on a railroad cart. I don't think time is an illusion. I think it's a construct like numbers and the metric system. It helps us understand the order and progression of events. If your theory were true, all events would be observable currently. If our brains could catalog all that and transform it into a linear progression, then our brains wouldn't be funny or little but complex and amazing. If your theory were true, then why don't we know how and when we die? How could we be alive now if our birth, pre-birth, and death and post-death are now? If that were true, how can I predictably cause a ball to roll? There could be no cause or effect or observance if everything happens now. Probably dangerous admitting this on Reddit, but I kinda believe some things about astrology. I know it's mostly horseshit and horoscopes are just fun filler for the back page of a newspaper. But my wife did my chart based on where and when I was born and read my profile to me. And, well, it was an uncanny description of me. Then she read her chart. Same thing. Then we did our compatibility chart and it was like verbatim our relationship dynamic. Maybe I was cherry-picking, but overall it was scarily accurate. Really, they are all generalizations that can fit 80% of people. So when you read it you feel like you need to find something in there that matches, and then you find it. Even if it fits anyone else. Truth is, the day your parents shagged isn't all that significant. I think humans may have once been able to read each other's minds. Eventually we developed the ability to tell the difference between our thoughts and those of others. And that's why we have metacognition today. Then we developed language, which was more reliable than mind reading. So we lost it as it didn't give us an evolutionary advantage anymore. But we kept metacognition because it did. Not totally related. But there is a theory that sometime in human history the corpus callosum wasnt developed, which would make the person think they are hearing voices or having other thoughts even though it was just the two hemispheres talking to each other. My Jeep has a curse. It's a 96 and if anyone suggests I replace it or make fun of it because it's old, runs fine, costs nothing to insure, paid in full, in less than a week, something catastrophic happens to their vehicle. The first time, it was a joke. The second time, it was a joke. It's been about 5 times now. I legit warn people. 3 times have been engine failures to 3 different people. I believe the dreams that shook me awake in this life were flashes from previous lives. I've no fear of heights, but I must have fell to my death a couple thousand times in previous lives. Because that's the random alarm I can't tune out. I've felt death in dreams and gained an understanding of it I can't come close to fully describing. I wish I could say it's changed my life or something, but I'm the same as I was. Now saddled with this feeling that's hard to share because people will just laugh at me for putting so much stock into a few dreams. My roommate still believes you can divide by 0. He believes that we haven't discovered the number that you would get. I love the kid, but he's about to graduate with an engineering degree. And sometimes I just wonder how he can still believe that. I try to have a very scientific view of the world. But I occasionally use tarot cards, crystals, and sigils when I'm going through something I need help dealing with. It's more placebo than anything but makes me feel better. Life on Earth came from Mars. A meteorite slammed into Mars when it still had an atmosphere. Ocean and life. Some of the debris landed on Earth and started its evolutionary journey here. Life on Mars was wiped out when it lost its atmosphere and its ocean evaporated. I think a community shares the same consciousness. I notice on some days, everybody is in a bad mood and Mr. Grump Pants. Then on other days, it's like my whole town decides to go out and party on a random Wednesday. I remember when I was in college, my town of 30,000 college kids all decided to visit home for the weekend. It wasn't a holiday or anything special. It's like they all collectively agreed to go home without saying anything. It was uncanny. If I tell someone about something good that happens in my life, that good thing goes away. It always seems to happen, and it sucks cause I'm excited to tell people about a good thing that happened, but I can't cause it won't happen or it'll go away if I do say something about it.